A group of over 1,500 migrants flooded the southern border into Texas this past Sunday night, a threatening example of what's to come once the Trump-era pandemic policy Title 42 reaches its end soon. This is exactly what Democrats wanted. Let's not forget what Congresswoman Veronica Escobar had to say over a year ago.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to El Paso. Welcome to my community, to the new Ellis Island, to the capital of the border.
The new Ellis Island. I imagine the Biden administration is probably celebrating somewhere. For more on this, let's bring in Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, good to see you.
It's great to see you too, Sean. How are you doing?
Good. So look, Title 42 is set to come to an end on December 21st. I gotta think that we got to expect to see more of these massive migrant crossings the second that this thing ends.
Of course you are. I mean, we have been saying this all along. You know, the threat of pulling Title 42, we had said it. They continue to push it. We went to court. The Biden administration fought us in court. And now they're getting rid of one of the last tools in the toolbox that could help us actually secure our border. This administration is hell-bent on opening the border and taking everything off the table. I mean, we've already seen over just this year, this fiscal year alone, so since October 1st, we've already seen over 500,000 encounters. We've seen 75,000 just this month in getaways. And getaways include people like drug smugglers, sex traffickers, members of drug cartels, and people on the terrorist watch list. We've seen 75,000 of them this month alone. This is what this administration is doing to our country.
But the thing that I find fascinating is that you folks in Texas and Arizona bear the brunt of it. But I think for folks in the rest of the country, once Title 42 goes away, it's Katie bar the door, and I don't think that people might have a true sense of what this is going to be like once people literally flood the border. Give people a sense of what it's like in Texas right now with the policy in place.
You're seeing 7,000 people a day come over our border, 7,000 people a day. You look at El Paso. I really wish Congressman Escobar, who works in that area, would talk to the local government officials who are feeling the brunt of this every single day, who are having to try to figure out health care, school, housing for these people, not to mention having to deal with a crime every single day. We say that all the cities are border cities at this point in time, but let's face it, Texas is taking an unnecessary load of that, of some of the negative consequences. Texas governor, we're trying to work with him. You saw almost every single member of the Texas delegation last week come out with a plan on dealing with the border. It includes reclassifying how we're dealing with the folks who are coming over, how we're dealing with drug cartels, and identifying them as basically terrorist groups so that we have more tools in the toolbox to be able to deal with it. It is looking at putting more resources down at the border. Texas has a plan. We're not just pointing and saying, you know, you fix it. We have come up with a plan. The question is the Biden administration going to take it seriously? Is it going to identify the millions of people that are dying because of fentanyl, more than a plane full of people basically a day dying from this that's coming over our borders illegally? Are they going to look at this as a serious threat? Are they willing to protect our country, or are we just going to continue to see more open borders?
Well, I think we do have a bit of a glimpse into to your question, because Border Patrol agent Raul Humberto Gonzalez Jr. was killed in the line of duty last Wednesday. The president still has not said a word about this. And so to your question, if they're going to take it seriously, if you're not even going to mention the death of a federal agent who died protecting this country, that does tell me something. If you're going to tell us that you're too busy to visit the southern border, that does tell us something. I mean, don't you think that their actions tell us a lot about their priorities?
Their actions speak wonders. I mean, they say one thing, but then they do another. What they're saying right now is that our borders are secure. Our borders are absolutely not secure. You need to see the 20 buses that came up filled with illegal aliens that are right now in Juarez waiting for Title 42 to be over, waiting to enter our border. If you think it's bad now, wait until the last tool in the toolbox to be able to maintain order is gotten rid of by this administration. It is going to be complete chaos. It is something that we have been warning for months, and yet this administration is hell-bent on getting rid of it.
Congressman, before I let you go, I want to bring up something that I sort of play little devil's advocate for you. Detroit, a high school in Detroit was renamed. It was named after Ben Carson, who I think very highly of. He served in the Trump administration as Secretary of HUD. Great man, great doctor. But you and 55 others signed a letter fighting this change that would rename the high school, right? So I agree. I find it a travesty that this man should be admired and revered for what he has done. But why should a member of Congress from another state than Michigan care about what Detroit or Michigan does?
I think it sets a precedent. I worked for Secretary Carson under the Trump administration for 2.5 years. I saw the impact that this man had. Basically, every single city that I traveled with him across the country, every single city that we went to, people would come up to him and they would say how he either changed their life directly by having had some kind of medical procedure to them or their children or somebody in their family. How this man's dedication for decades to his community, how he took the resources that are available to him in a public library. He grew up in the slums of Detroit. He went to school, he learned, he took the tools that were available to him in a slum neighborhood with a mom who did not even know how to read. And through hard work, through finding people that could mentor him, using teachers that were wonderful mentors to him in school, he was able to get a full scholarship to Yale. He went on and got his medical degree from the University of Michigan. He then went on to work and to get his internship and residency at Johns Hopkins. He has saved thousands and thousands of lives. If you want to look at somebody that a school should be named from, this man is exactly it. He is the hero that people all across the country should be looking for. He is exactly the opposite of divisive. He pulls people together. He is supportive, he's smart, and he is the American dream. And for them to pull his name off of a school simply out of political hatred is wrong.
Yeah.
And not only should I be standing up for him, but every single liberal, every single Democrat should be standing up for him and saying this is a good man and this is exactly what all of us should characterize.
All right, you make a strong case. I will give you that. He is a great man and you make a strong case. Congresswoman, I appreciate your time.
It was an honor to
Thanks for
work
being
with
here.
him. It was an honor to work with him.
It's an
Thank
honor
you.
to know him.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You bet.
Merry
All right.
Christmas.